0 to 1, Chapter 9, Foundations. Every great company is unique, but behind every great company is one universal truth. You must get the foundation right. Peter Thiel calls this Thiel's Law. A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed. The beginning of a company, just like the birth of the universe or the founding of a country, is a one-time event that sets everything in motion. And just like those early cosmic moments or the months spent drafting the U.S. Constitution, decisions made in the early days of a startup shape what follows, often irreversibly. Whether it's the wrong co-founders, the wrong structure, or the wrong hires, early mistakes compound. They embed themselves into the DNA of the company, and unless a major crisis forces a reset, they're nearly impossible to unwind. So what makes a strong foundation? First, your co-founder. Choosing a co-founder is like choosing a spouse. You'll be tied together through stress, risk, uncertainty, and the daily grind. Optimism clouds judgment in the beginning. But if the chemistry is off or values don't align, things will fall apart and the company will suffer. Thiel gives a cautionary tale. A brilliant friend teamed up with someone he barely knew to start a company. It didn't work out. The mismatch was clear from the start, but only in hindsight. When founding a company, shared history matters as much as skill. Then comes structure, the architecture of how a company is owned, run, and controlled. Thiel breaks it down into three parts: ownership, who holds the equity; possession, who runs the day-to-day operations; control, who governs the big decisions, usually through the board. In theory, this division keeps things in balance. In reality, it opens up opportunities for misalignment. The further apart ownership, possession, and control get, the more likely a company veers off course. A public company CEO may own a tiny fraction of the company, but control vast resources. His motivation? Often short-term performance, because that's what he's rewarded for. It's one reason big corporations stagnate. In contrast, early-stage startups are nimble. Founders usually control all three levers: ownership, possession, and control. But as investors come in and boards grow, conflicts can arise. That's why a small board is crucial. 3 people is ideal. 5 is manageable. Anything more is chaos masquerading as order. A big board doesn't lead, it hides, and one bad board member can sink your ship. Thiel's advice is clear: choose your team with precision. Full-time, committed people only. Consultants, part-timers, and remote workers introduce friction and weaken alignment. As author Ken Kesey famously said, "You're either on the bus or off the bus." When it comes to pay, cash is not king. Equity is. A founder drawing a high salary often signals comfort, not commitment. Thiel advises keeping CEO salaries low, under $150,000 per year, not as punishment, but to focus the entire company on long-term value creation, not short-term comfort. Equity is the most powerful alignment tool. It's risky, illiquid, and specific, but that's the point. People who accept equity over cash are betting on the future. They're invested in building something, not just getting a paycheck. Still, distributing equity is tricky. Equal equity can feel unfair. Unequal equity can feel unjust. There's no perfect formula, and full transparency can create resentment. Sometimes, the best way to avoid conflict is not to publicize exact figures. Quiet fairness often works better than loud equality. And then there's the real secret: the founding never truly ends. Yes, there's a literal beginning, but in great companies, the spirit of creation, the inventiveness of day one, continues indefinitely. The best companies are always being born. They're not content managing inherited success. They push boundaries, make new things, and carry forward the energy of their founding moment. Because if a company stops being creative, it stops being a startup. and slowly it begins to die. So get your foundation right, your co-founders, your team, your structure. Set clear roles. Keep your board lean. Compensate for commitment, not comfort. And above all, keep building. Because a company that keeps its founding spirit alive is a company that can change the future.